Hi, everyone. I'm Samantha Hammer, and welcome to my podcast. We're going to be talking about the house meanings in traditional astrology today. So, what are the houses in a natal chart? They are the where in the chart, the life or the life in which these signs and topics take place. So, as you probably know, if you're listening, your natal chart has all the signs of the zodiac within it. And so what the houses do is that they organize what themes will show up and where. How they'll be colored will be the influence of the sign that occupies them. So there's 12 houses in each natal chart. So let's get into what each of them mean. So the first house is the self or the helm of the chart. Mercury has his joy here in the first house, and it really is the embodiment of you. And what this means is what I call it the life filter. So whatever you're taking in around the world that in which you live um, is is filtered by what sign is on this ascendant point. And also, it is what people see of you at first glance. People always say, oh, the first impression is the ascendant sign, like what people gather from you upon first meeting. However, I think it's not like a mask. I've heard that metaphor be used. It is you. Your sun is also you, but the first house really is the self and the sole occupier of the topic at large. The second house. So the second house primarily is temporary value, like money and food. But it's also what an individual holds of value. So your second house will be what you accumulate, is what my teacher Austin Kopic always says. What you accumulate resides in the second. The third house. The third house will generally be about siblings, communication, short distance travel. The moon has her joy here in the third house. It's also known as the place of the goddess. This also can be daily commutes, daily ritual, your neighborhood, your community. Um, it's also friends in which you feel like are more like siblings. Um, it's your brethren. So yeah, I think the third house has a lot to do with your day-to-day ritual. Some little magic, like some people will put magic here in the third house, which I really love, honestly. But the moon, I believe, has her joy here simply because she's fast moving, and just like these rituals that we are kind of speaking to of the third aren't like sixth house routine, got to keep yourself alive, which we'll get to in a second here. But the third house is your routine, your ritual at large, and whether that's driving to work, going to the coffee shop, and what have you, these are the things that sort of reside there. The fourth house. So the fourth house is going to be an angular house. The first house, I should have said, is an angular house as well. So the fourth house is the terrain of the chart. It's the very bottom angle. So what is most private to you will reside in the fourth house. People with sun in the fourth house, they might simply be a little shy because they don't like to be out in the public eye. They'd rather stay behind the scenes. So the fourth house is family, but like not just your intimate, your immediate family, it's generational family, like the decisions that came before you years in advance, before you were even here on the planet, these things were in the making. It's a really interesting house. It's like very deep, as like I just said, the terrain of the chart, but it hosts a lot of deep private matters of the life. The fifth house is where Venus has her joy. This is the house of creativity and fun and joy and good spirit, I believe Valens calls it. So what we see here is what you do to enjoy yourself. It's a lot of people with planets there are often artists at what they do. That doesn't mean classically like painter or drawer. It means like they are artists at living a lot of the time and just create for the joy of creation. The sixth house is habits and routines. These are the things in life that are not so fun. Work, um, uh, this is where routine resides, not so much ritual. Routine that must be done in order to stay alive. Pets go here, subordinates go here. Pets, I believe, just in order because, back in ancient times, they were a subordinate. They relied on you. If you're not okay, your pet's not okay. I'm a big animal lover. I have Moon in the sixth house. So this house is very interesting personally to me at large. So brushing your teeth, you know, the 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 things in which that keep you from non-decaying is what you'll find in the sixth house. The seventh house. The seventh house is our next angle house in the chart. So when I say angle, that just means they're really important. And so the seventh house is the other. So if the first house is thyself, the seventh house is your other. So what we find here in the seventh house is long-term relationships, business partnerships, and people say like friends go in the 11th house, but like I don't have a lot of friends, to be honest. But like the ones that I do have, I consider them like totally, totally seventh house territory. Like they are my long-term partnerships. Um, I have a teacher who once said, whoever can call you at midnight can go in the seventh house. If that wasn't going to be like crossing a line or a boundary, then those people belong in the seventh, which I honestly found very helpful. And so with this, you're gonna, yeah, I mean, I said it, I think already. It's just the other person that you find of most importance in the life. The eighth house. So the eighth house is in aversion to the ascendant. And what we find here are taboo topics such as death, sex, taxes, other people's resources is really what it is at its essence. Um, Delena from Moon Matters always calls it prices and power, which is also another really helpful way of thinking about it. So yeah, what you find here are other people's resources. Then we move on to the ninth house. And the ninth house is where we find your your position in the world, and you have religion, higher learning, long-term travel, and it really is the place of embodiment of what I think of as the soul knowing of where you're going. It's a very ethereal house, in my opinion. And chronologically speaking, the houses kind of show you what comes next. So, first house being you, second house, what you ingest to become, it travels and the meanings are sequential. But so the 10th house or the midheaven is the highest point in the chart, which is your last big angle of the chart. And this represents identity, reputation, career, what you do, and how you're known. It's the most public point where the fourth house is going to be the most private. The 10th house is the most up on the stage, if you will, the stage of life house. And then we move on to the 11th. The 11th house is the place of friends, but it's also like the place of groups and like interested people. So I always think of an astrology conference, let's say, like if you're an astrologer and at an astrology conference, you've entered the 11th house because you're just surrounded by other people that are thinking and interested into this in the same topics as you are. Big groups at large though, and just community, big online communities and such can also reside here. The 12th house, the setting place. The last house before we fall back to the ascendant, it's the place of self-undoing, endings overall, but not death. A lot of murkiness. It's unclear because it's just the last dark house before daybreak. And so what we find here is confusion and sort of but okay, so where you can find the most confusion in the life is also where you can almost find the most clarity. It's a really interesting house, and you can't go too far bad with it or too far good because it's where both exist simultaneously. And it's dreamy. It's dreamy, but also nightmarish. I hate to end on this note, but that's really what it is. So I hope you enjoyed my brief synopsis on the houses. And if you'd like to learn more, please visit my website. It's samanthahammerastrology.com. I have written some decent articles on these things. And thank you guys.